it was just a lot of like the talking and all the Lakers. Like, it was just so much of that going on. Like, all right, we get it, y'all won, but I think me and Brian had some conversations like we can't wait.
And here we go.
That might be it for the Lakers right there after that golden opportunity missed. Jokic, that's a slam. Steal Jokic in transition. I guess that was a slam.
Jokic a screen, Murray to try to break the tie.
When it comes to the 2024 Lakers, their season ended just how it started. A loss in Denver at the hands of Jamal Murray, as well as Nikola Jokic. And this so-called rivalry, it's anything but. It's been gassed up by the media, Lakers players, the NBA press, and especially social media. Denver versus this Lakers team the past 2 postseasons has gone 8-1 versus them and is undefeated at home. And despite that, the media's focus after every game wasn't how dominant Denver was, but what LA could do to beat Denver in the next game.
And I think if you really watch the game, they were in it.
Of course.
They kind of let it slip away from them. That's okay.
They're going to need a better D'Angelo Russell.
Can we get some bench production from somebody other than Taurean Prince? Nobody else scored a point. Not Dinwiddie, not Gabe Vincent, not Jackson Hayes, nobody.
What the Lakers are going to have to do in order to win this series is be perfect. You will be perfect.
And one of the big-time narratives for the series that really got debunked thoroughly is LeBron James had no help and his supporting cast wasn't up to snuff. Anthony Davis, 28 points per game, tremendous defense. Austin Reeves, 17 points per game, really came on the second half of this series. D'Angelo Russell, nearly 15 points per game, he was hit or miss here or there. Then Rui and Prince at around 7 points per game. And in terms of role player help, offensively, and I would say defensively, LeBron had plenty of help to win this series. But if you ask the media, if one Lakers role player doesn't show up, they only have 4 or 5 points, that is the sole reason LA lost, and he's to blame for the team underperforming. If you think Spencer Dinwiddie, a Gabe Vincent, even a Taurean Prince, is the difference between winning a series and losing a series, hate to break it to you, but your team might not be as good as you think. And if you want to talk supporting cast being consistent versus inconsistent, Denver this series offensively had a very, very rough time. Jamal Murray, still around 24 points per game, but his efficiency was far from normal. Michael Porter Jr., 23 points per game, the best series of his life. Aaron Gordon, 14 points per game, had one tremendous game this series. KCP, 8 points per game, got hurt, and Christian Brown at around 4 points per game. Look at those numbers right there. That doesn't scream super team or some great supporting cast for the Joker. KCP and Jamal in this series, who were both banged up, shot under 30% from behind the arc. And Jamal himself, for the first 4 games of the series, didn't crack 40% from the field. And last but not least, looking at Denver as a team, 30.8% from behind the arc, ranked 13th out of 16 playoff teams. And go figure, when it came to the free throw line, they ranked 15th out of 16th in terms of free throws taken in the first round. And speaking of free throws and the refs, that game 5 down the stretch, there was some very suspect calls, to say the least. At one point I thought Adam Silver probably phoned in, said, look guys, we need a game 6, gotta get those ratings. And that's one thing when you play the Lakers, play LeBron James, you have to expect. The referees, the free throws, that's a given in their favor. And looking at the Joker specifically, one of the best series of his career. 28 points per game, 16 boards, 10 assists on nearly 60% shooting. Out of both teams, they're in points, rebounds, and assists of playing 40 minutes per game. My biggest critique of the Joker this series, for certain stretches in the first half, he was very, very lax and not really aggressive. That's my biggest critique of him this series, because besides that, there really was none. And like I stated earlier, Jamal in this series for his standards didn't live up to playoff Jamal. But the big time fourth quarter moments, Game 2 and Game 5, what does this guy do? Game winning shots. I mean, that is Jamal Murray in a nutshell. He can have the worst game of his life, shooting 3 of 18, and still need big time moments, rise to the occasion, and hit the game winner. And what makes Denver so hard to beat, especially in Game 5, if their offense was struggling stagnant, they were in a scoring rut. They go to old reliable. Dribble handoff Jokic Jamal, pick and roll Jamal and Jokic. 9 times out of 10 with that action, they get a great look or an easy layup. And those two guys right there at the end of the games are two players who actually make the right basketball play, and more times than not, leads to the team winning said game. And one thing I do want to touch on very quickly, when it comes to the overall notion basketball, it's about who's bigger, faster, stronger, things like that. I mean, Jokic Jamal Murray thoroughly disproved that notion. As looking at the Joker, his last 25 playoff games, he's a walking 30, 14, and 10 on 55% shooting. This is a guy in Jokic who's built like a tub of lard and moves like a dump truck, playing in the era with these so-called best athletes, strongest players, most durable players who can jump the highest and run the fastest. How is Jokic one of the worst athletes in the game, this dominant in this era? Well, it's quite simple. Basketball, since day one, has been about skill and not athleticism. I mean, look at someone like Anthony Davis, the typical blue chip prospect, one of the best players coming into the NBA we've ever seen. But still Nikola Jokic, when he plays Anthony Davis, takes him to school every single time.
Every European is a last pick in All-Star game. Nobody wants them motherfuckers, man. Every year, Rudy Goldberg, liar. Joker, liar.
This might be a hard pill to swallow for some, but Nikola Jokic, players like him, the European-type players, they're going to dominate this league for years to come because of their skill and overall fundamentals. And looking back at the Lakers, one reason this team is so reviled, so hated, and is downright despised is all summer long they were talking, they were yapping, saying they couldn't wait to play Denver in the upcoming season. Anthony Davis specifically kind of brushed last year's series off as a fluke win.
Like, all right, we get it, y'all won, but, I think, me and Brian had some conversations like, we can't wait.
Now, when a player has those comments, they say, we're ready for this team upcoming season, we're going to take it to them and show what we're all about. You'd expect that team to at least go better than 1-7 the following year. But for the Lakers, they didn't. Denver this season, start to finish, dominated the Lakers. Wasn't even close. The only reason LA versus Denver is a perceived rivalry is because the media astroturfing the Lakers as a better team than they actually are. I mean, look at Shannon Sharp. After Game 4 in Los Angeles, the Lakers won 1 game. He was doubling down entering Game 5 that LA still would win this series.
Laker Nation, we got to stand up.
Oh, my Lord.
As a matter of fact, probably about 5 o'clock this afternoon, if you look up in the sky, that ain't the bat signal, it's the crown.
That right there is pure Laker delusion. And to have that weird confidence after 1 game, you finally beat this team, that's downright embarrassing. The last time Denver as a team faced an elimination game was Game 5 in 2022 versus Steph Curry and the Warriors. And for that series, the Joker, without Jamal Murray and MPJ. His starting 5 supporting cast was Will Barton, Monte Morris, an old Jeff Green, and Boogie Cousins. Since Denver's gotten back to full strength in the postseason, here's their resume. Overall record 20-5, including 14-2 in the last 16 ball games. At home, a ridiculous 13-1 record. And in every series they played in, not once have trailed even 1-0. And in clutch time games, the final 5 minutes and 5 points, they're 11-4 in such games. The best win percentage and most total wins for games that qualify. And of course, looking at the Joker himself in his dominant 25-game run, a walking 30, 14, and 10 on 55% shooting. If that doesn't scream unbeatable, I really don't know what does. And for Lakers fans down 3-0, to still believe they could win this series, win 4 straight games, 2 in Denver. I mean, I guess I admire the insanity, but it's just that, downright insanity. What we're witnessing in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray is one of the best little man, big man duos of all time. So that right there is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.